Moving on to 5.2 bank reconciliations. Again, make sure that your guys' books are open and you're following along with me. Hopefully you are still on your best behavior for me. There are 2 learning objectives. You should be able to complete a blank bank statement reconciliation, and then you should also be able to record and journalize a bank service charge. So this first slide is showing us what a bank statement looks like. Those of you that maybe have bank accounts have maybe seen a bank statement before. Not many times do we get those in the mail anymore. A lot of people opt to just get their bank statements online. So even if you do have a bank account, you maybe have not seen an actual bank statement. Different banks have different formats for their bank statements. This is just an example. When we look over here at the left, we can see the different dates that there were deposits or withdrawals in that bank statement. Over here, we can see the check numbers. So this is meaning check 1, check 2, check 4, check 3. Notice that these do not go in order. And the reason for that is because we maybe wrote check 3 on like what dates are those? We maybe have written that on like the 9th, but the person didn't actually cash it until the 19th. So these are going to go in order by date, not necessarily order by check number. Okay, here we can see the amount of the checks. Notice here's another column of checks and check amounts. This just means that there was 2 checks cashed in the same day. And then here we have our different deposits and then our new balances that we have after those withdrawals or those deposits. If you notice this one down here at the bottom, it says SC. SC stands for service charge. So sometimes banks will have different service charges for us, and they don't give us a reason as to what that service charge is. It might be that they charge a $25 service charge for a checking account with the bank. Okay, so this is an example of our bank statement. They also give us what's called a canceled check. A canceled check is just meaning that the check has been paid by the bank. So any of these checks that appear on our bank statement, those are canceled checks, meaning they have already gone through the bank. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we are going to fill out a bank reconciliation. Not many people do this anymore because they don't necessarily get the paper copy of their bank statement. However, this is something that you should really do. Banks can make mistakes, and you can make mistakes. So you want to make sure that you are both on the same page. If you're not keeping track of your own payments and withdrawals, you might not realize when the bank makes a mistake and you might end up losing money. So this is one way that you can just double check and make sure that the bank and you have the same amount. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to fill in the date, and then we're going to fill in our check stub balance. Now this information is what we get from our checking account, from our personal records. So this is off of our check stub. Okay, so they also have the check stub number written there so that we know, okay, check stub number 14, this is where we got our balance. Next thing that we need to do is we need to add that service charge. I'm going to go back a slide quick. When we looked at this slide at the bottom, we had that service charge of $25. Well, we don't have that in our own records yet because it just appeared on our bank statement. So we need to make sure that we put that into our checking account and we put it in our check stub. So we're going to write the description, service charge, $25. Now, that is the amount that's going to be taken out. So we're going to put that total bank charges here, and we're going to subtract those 2 numbers. So here we have our balance minus that charge that we have. And so here is our adjusted check stub balance. So we're saying our records show that we should have $2,597 in our account. Okay, now we're going to catch up. Now we're going to go over to the right-hand side. And the right-hand side, we're going to get the information off of our bank statement. And so we're going to put our bank statement balance. So on our balance on our bank statement, it says that we have $3,292. Now, when we look at this number and we look at what we have in our records, those 2 numbers do not match. So we want to make sure that they match. We're going to look through and we're going to look for any outstanding deposits. So we're going to talk about what outstanding deposits are here in a little bit. If we do, though, we're going to put the date of that outstanding deposit, how much it is, and then we're going to put the total outstanding deposits. Now remember, deposits are money that are going in. So here we're going to take the balance plus the deposit to equal our new subtotal. Again, this number does not equal what we have on our check stub, so we still have some work to do. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for outstanding checks. Again, we'll talk about what outstanding means in a little bit. So if we have outstanding checks, we're going to write the check numbers here, and then we're going to write the amount of each check. So it looks like we have 3 outstanding checks here. We're going to total those up, so it looks our total is $1,380. Now checks are money that is going out, so we're going to take our subtotal minus our outstanding checks to get our adjusted bank balance. Once we get this bottom number, we want to look to make sure that it equals our check stub balance. If those two numbers are equal, that means that we should be on the right track, that we should be right. Now, I also said that we were going to, or on the last slide, I should say, we put down our service charge, but we didn't record that yet into our actual check stub. So that's what we need to do here. So remember that what we took our balance from was that check stub number 14. So here was the balance that we used, and now we need to include that service charge so that we have our new subtotal. So that's where that other part comes in. So we're just going to write service charge of $25. So our total other is $25. That is money that is taken out of our account. So we're going to subtract our subtotal minus our service charge to get our new subtotal of $2,597. That's what we saw on our last slide. Now we need to actually go and we need to journalize this service charge because yes, we have recorded it on our reconciliation, we have recorded it on our check stub, but it's not actually in our journal yet. And that's the important part. We really need to make sure it's in our journal. So it says on January 31st, we received a bank statement showing that January bank service charge of $25. We're going to use memorandum number 3. Remember, we use a memorandum if we don't have an actual physical evidence sheet. So on this, since we don't have an account for a bank service charge, this is an example of when we're going to use a miscellaneous expense. So we're going to increase our miscellaneous expense with a debit of $25, and then we're going to decrease our cash because we're losing cash with a credit of $25. Now we should know how to record that into a journal. We're going to start with our date, then we're debiting our account miscellaneous expense, so I'm going to put that in my account title. I'm going to then put my debit in the general debit column. Then I'm going to cash or credit cash for the $25. And then my last step is I'm going to put that source document M3 in there. Okay, let's go ahead and look through the audit your understanding. I do want you guys to look at these questions. Think about the answers to these questions. So number 1, list 4 reasons why a depositor's records and a bank records may differ. So here are the 4 reasons. A service charge may not have been recorded. There might be outstanding deposits. There might be outstanding checks. Or the depositor may have made a math or a recording error. Number 2, if a check mark is placed on the check stub of each canceled check, what does a check stub with no check mark indicate? So this is kind of where I was talking about those outstanding checks and those outstanding deposits. When we are looking through to figure out if something is canceled or something is outstanding, we are going to look through every single check stub. If it appears on our bank statement, we're going to put a check mark meaning next to it. That's going to mean that it is a canceled check. So if it does not have a check mark next to it, that means that it is an outstanding check. I'm going to go back quick. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back to this first slide here. What we're going to do is we're going to look at each of our check stubs. So here we see that check number 1 is a canceled check. Remember, a canceled check means that it has gone through the bank. So when we look at that check stub, we would put a check mark next to it. Then we go to check number 2, that has appeared. check number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you remember, when we look at this one, the ones that were outstanding, meaning they don't appear on the bank statement, are 11, 12, and 13. Okay. Also, when we look at this outstanding deposit, the one that did not appear was the one that was made on January 31st. So if I go back to my bank statement, notice I don't have a January 31st on here. It has not gone through the bank yet, therefore it is an outstanding deposit. Okay, let's go back to oh, that was the end. Okay, go ahead and open up your 5-2.